Hello and welcome back to the Drama Primary School CPD from All Saints Catholic School. Once again, I'm Dan Thorne, Head of Drama and Performing Arts here at All Saints, and I'm here to talk with you today about a deep dive in some of the key drama skills that the Primary National Strategy identifies. Let's go. So at the end of last session, I asked you guys to go away and complete a gap task. That was reflecting on what we've done in that session, and for you guys to try that out and for us to quickly reflect now. I asked you to go away and to try and maybe set one of the rules that we identified last session to help you boss your space. It's your space, you're in control. We're also going to play maybe one of our warm-up games. We had the balloon game, we had other various games that we went through. Was that game a success? And also you're going to try teacher and role, where the students get to ask you or interact with you as a character. How did that go? Was it scary? Was it quite liberating and fun being a different type of character? I'd love to know your thoughts if you're able to record me a video or send me your thoughts via email. So this slide here is a checklist from the National Primary Drama Strategy, which is a document which kind of goes through all the different things that one should include if you're looking to include drama within your primary school lessons. I've kind of drawn out what I think the main parts are here, and at the moment I believe that we can tick off one of these from what we've done so far. So if we look at this at the bottom thing on the checklist, point on the checklist, it says to establish ground rules for drama sessions so that children have clear framework from which to create roles, explore movement or develop scenarios. We talked a bit about bossing your space last time. We talked a bit about creating effective ground rules, so hopefully that's a tick. The rest, modelling language, challenging children, reflecting, evaluating on the drama, structuring lessons, and having a variety of exercises. We're going to do a little bit of work on this session, and we're going to see how many of those we can tick off. So in the strategy, it goes through a number of drama skills that the government believe are the key ones to be using in a primary school drama lesson. Some of those, if you're not a drama expert, might be A, quite daunting, B, you might not quite know what they are, and you might get the definition slightly wrong or how to present them slightly wrong. So what I wanted to do today was to go through a few of those skills and try and just make sure you understand exactly what they are and how they operate and the best way to run them as far as I'm concerned. Here we go. So I've chosen an issue that hopefully is something that that might occur in primary schools, and we know bullying occurs everywhere, but it might be something that's challenged in primary schools, hopefully, and it could be through drama. As I film this, it's anti-bullying week, so that is an influence as well. So I want to think about still images. Still images. I'm going to give you a scenario. We're going to work from this scenario for the next 3 or 4 slides. Scenario is this. You might say this to the class as a scenario to make drama from. So a student runs out of the classroom because of an incident involving another student. That's all we know. So then we've got to ask the students to maybe think about, why might that student have run out of the classroom? What could be the reason why they've gone? If you want to have a little think for yourself, you could pause just for a sec and just try and come up with a couple of answers. But we'd be looking maybe for things like, there could be nasty rumours being spread, teasing, maybe an embarrassing accident, they've spilt something over themselves, or could be the way they look. And there may be things that are really specific to primary, I don't know, taking someone's lunchbox that has the same design or something. There might be something why somebody gets angry. And so you might ask the students then to show 3 different reasons using 3 different individual still images. The posh drama keyword we use at Key Stage 3 and 4 for still image is tableau. And when you have a number of images that kind of move one after the other, we call that a rolling tableau with an X on the end. And what I just wanted to do now was I just wanted to pause, get you to pause in a second, and to just jot down for me, if you're doing a still image, what might be some of the key drama skills that you think you need to get the students to really think about and consider when creating a still picture? Have a quick pause, maybe write down, see if you can get 3 or 4 of those, see how many you get right. Okay, so let's have a quick look at my top tips for creating a still image. You should have different levels, different heights in the picture, spacing, as you can see in the picture there, some children back in the picture, some children forward. We call that depth. Probably don't need that level right now, but spacing is really good. Gestures, obviously using your hands, that pointing that they've got going on there. Facial expressions, obviously the guy in the front there is covering up his facial expression, but his gesture is kind of showing how upset he is. Body language, and of course a still image has to be totally still and totally silent, just like you've taken a photograph. Okay, and as we all would, I normally give a countdown: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. They know then they've got to start to finish their conversations, get into position and freeze. So there's our first kind of takeaway, the idea of a still image. And then once you've made a still image for each of your different reasons, then you could get them, instead of you giving the countdown, you could try and get them to move themselves from image to image to image, put some music on, some nice calm music, and try and make somebody the counter, and they could count 1, 2, 3, or maybe click or tap the side of their leg, and then on each time after they say 3, they then change to the next image, and so on. Okay, so there's still images. Now we're going to develop that still image idea a little bit further with our next drama strategy for primary schools, which was the idea of thoughts aloud or thought tracking. They actually do have both of those on the primary strategy. Same scenario, students run out of the classroom because of an incident. We've just done the still images. So, thoughts aloud is where a character tells the audience what they're thinking. So you've got your still image. You could have the main character step out and say, I feel awful, I'm a new student and I don't know anybody, I feel so sad, something. Okay, so the person playing that character speaks their thoughts out loud to the audience. Thought tracking, slightly different to that. That's where the other students could vocalize the inner thoughts of the main character. So now it's not just the main character having to do all the thinking of the thoughts in his head, but also with thought tracking, the other students could vocalize his thoughts as well. And when you do a thoughts aloud, you should be aiming to reveal a deeper level of understanding for the character, something the audience didn't know before. So you're trying to go a little bit deeper. So you could just say, I feel so sad, but we can kind of see that he looks sad. So by aiming to reveal something a little bit deeper, it might be, I've moved schools 3 times now, and it's happening again, or something. So we now have a bit of extra information we didn't have before about the fact that this child has been moved on a number of times. So with our little exercise we're doing with the class, we could then, to our still images, we could ask each group to add a moment of thoughts aloud where each person steps forward and says what their character is thinking for one of the images, let's say. Okay? So we've now covered 2 of the skills in the drama primary strategy. Let's go for number 3. So this next skill is known as Conscience Alley, sometimes called Conscience Corridor. It's the same thing. People use different names for the same skill. Let's go through this. Same scenario. But now our victim, the child who ran out of the classroom, has a decision to make for themselves. Should he tell the teacher what's happened? Maybe something that's happened, that whatever it is that's caused him to run off, or should he try and deal with it himself? Visualizing this internal struggle, should I, shouldn't I, should I reach out for help, should I deal with it myself, is a fascinating dramatic device used by playwrights for centuries, and we can use it in the drama classroom as well. So it's almost this idea of an angel and a devil appearing in the character's mind. So the way you do it is this. You have half of the class down one side of the drama classroom. You have the other half of the class down the other side of the drama classroom, with one student picked out, and there where the question mark is on that diagram, okay? So one half of the class is going to represent the more negative thoughts of the character, and we're saying that that means that they're going to try and deal with the situation on their own. They're not going to reach out for any help at all. And each student that stood in a line on that side of the room needs to come up with their own kind of negative, but not very nice reason as to why that person should try and deal with it on their own. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I hope these are pitched appropriately for primary school. So for example, one child might say, "Don't tell the teacher, no one likes a telltale." And another child might say, "Oh, you're such a loser, that's why you have no friends." Making the central character feel like, "Oh, no one's going to listen to me if I do tell. I've got no one to tell anyway because I've got no friends. I might as well just deal with it myself." On the other side of the class, you have the other half of the class, and they are each responsible for coming up with a positive message for the central character. And that should represent the idea that the victim should reach out for help, not deal with it alone. A couple of examples. One student might say, like, "Tell your best friend, he will help you." And another student might say, "Tell your mummy, she loves you more than anything," whatever. Okay. Final thing then, so you've got half the class negative, half the class positive, and then you've got one student at the question mark, and that student is playing our central character. And what does that student then does, walking really slowly, is they walk down through the middle of the corridor, the conscience corridor. And as they're walking past people, and as a teacher I usually try and conduct this slightly, but as they walk past members of the class, they then speak their negative or positive comment out to the character who's walking down the middle, and whichever side is presenting like a more compelling argument really, or is being more persuasive, then the person who's going down the middle could start to walk towards that side, and they might end up zigzagging down the conscience corridor as they're pushed and pulled by the different thoughts going on inside their head. It's a brilliant exercise, and it shows the battle that might be going on within that person's head. Again, it's one of the primary drama strategy skills. So hopefully, if you didn't know how to really do a conscience corridor, conscience alley, that's giving you some idea for that. I've got one more. Hot seating. Now, you may have heard of this before, of course. Hot seating is a technique which requires the participant to answer questions in role as a character, showing a level of empathy and understanding for a situation different from their own. And obviously, they're now dealing with these questions on their own. So having done the last exercise, conscience corridor, the person who's playing the victim might have lots and lots of ideas now as to how they're feeling, and that could be a brilliant setup for something like hot seating. Okay, so if you're doing hot seating, effective hot seating should include, you should try and avoid closed questions. Are you being bullied? Yes. No. Are you sad? Yes. No. Doesn't really get anything. So you should try and get them to answer an open question that's going to try and just give a little bit more information again. So have you told your mummy, and what did she say? And then they'd have to, like, obviously, you know, not just think about what their character has said, but they'd have to think about how mummy has responded to them as well. When you told your teacher, how did your teacher react? Did the bully get in trouble? And so on. So you're getting them to, like, describe and try and build upon the experience that they're having as the character. And for more, if you've got more able students, they'd be the ones to get in the initial hot seat to do some maybe modelling of this. And if you think they're feeling brave, and if you're feeling brave, really try and get some questions that get under the skin of the character and force the character to reveal more about themselves. Okay, you might ask something like, we hear that this isn't the first time you've been involved in a bullying incident, and actually the last 2 times you were the bully, weren't you? Would you like to describe what happened? And so then you're forcing them into a slightly uncomfortable situation, but you get some really good results from that. And one more. Again, all of these are in the primary strategy, so I'm just trying to equip you up. Forum theatre. Created by this guy, Augusto Boal. Just thought I'd throw that in there. A Brazilian theatre director. So you would create, now we've like made these still images, which has led into thought tracking, which has led into conscience corridor, which has led to a bit of hot seating. You could then do a little bit of forum theatre as a final thing. You revisit the scene, maybe make the scene where the kid runs out, and we see like why the kids run out as a 30-second scene. Really short, really sharp, nice and concise. Then you would then run the scene, and you'd say to the children that they can at any moment put their hand up and shout stop, and they can give a bit of advice to the student who's the victim of how they might deal with the situation they're in. So if the bullies have like been pulling their hair or something, and the victim says like, stop it, it hurts, stop, and screams or something, then when you run the scene and a child can put their hand up and shout stop, then they can maybe suggest a better way of the main character dealing with that situation. So they could suggest, maybe rather than screaming like get off my hair, you could put your hand up and try and tell the teacher that they're bullying you, and then you would replay the scene with that suggestion and kind of see whether it worked or not. And if it might not work, and that's fine, and you kind of just go back to the scene as it was before and kind of start again. Or it might have had a positive impact. And the purpose of this type of theatre is to allow people to work through their issues in a safe space in a theatre, and then if this were to ever happen in real life and a bully was to bully you, then you'd have a better idea of how to deal with that situation. It's a game really, forum theatre. It's a game, it's a push-pull tussle between the actors on stage who are kind of trying to make the main character's life a misery, the bullies and stuff, versus the audience who is on the side of the main character, known as the protagonist. It's a push me, pull me battle between those two. Every game like that, like sports match, football, needs a referee, and the referee in forum theatre is known as the Joker. So teacher, you would be the Joker really, and would help to control that and referee it. There's the Joker at the bottom. Okay. So if we now just go back to our primary drama strategy checklist again, we should be able to take a few more of these off now, I think, because have we modelled language that's appropriate to the role, the context and the theme? Yes, we have, because we've done some teacher and role, and we've also done some hot seating now, which you have to use the appropriate language that suits the role and the context. Challenge children to move beyond the familiar and the everyday. We've just asked children to be the inner voices of a character in turmoil and to become the angel and devil for that character. That's a bit beyond the everyday really, so I think we've done that one too. Reflect. Now I've half done this one because as you do those exercises, I'm sure you will be reflecting with the students about how that went, etc. But we haven't actually built in any drama evaluation time yet as such, and I'm going to talk about that in the next session. So I think we give ourselves a half a pat on the back there. Structure. Are we structuring activities in a unit of work that builds the drama skills and the work in role and understanding of themes? Well, if you were to follow what we've just done there, you've gone from still images to thought tracking to conscious corridor to hot seating to forum theatre. That's quite a comprehensive building and scaffolding of work. So yes, I think we can do that. And in the next session, I'm going to be going through with you on how to plan a drama scheme of work over a series of weeks. And variety. Have we done a variety of techniques so that children can build a repertoire of kind of exercises and skills they can use? By gosh, I think we have. We've just covered 5 or 6 skills. So one more little mind the gap task for you to try before our next session when I see you again. I'd like to try some of those drama skills. If you may have done still images before in lesson, but have you ever tried conscience corridor? Have you ever tried thoughts aloud? Have you ever tried hot seating, but actually getting under the skin of the character? Try one or two of those out. Keep a little. I'd love you to record a little video, so it's not just me all the time, of how you got on, or just jot down a couple of points, and I'd love you to send them to me. That'd be fantastic. My last session was over 30 something minutes long. I've managed to get this one down to 24, so I hope that's a little bit better. And it's so lovely to work with you again. It doesn't look like COVID's going anywhere anytime soon, so I will, I'm sure, see you over this kind of medium again in session 3. Until then, take care, and the show must go on. Keep the drama going. All right. Many thanks. Bye-bye.